Welcome back, folks. Before we head back to court, I want to bring in my guests for this hour. Joining me, a national trial attorney, Michael Jaafar, is with us as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Sort of raising his little, getting his little points in. Here he made the point that it could be that she died of natural causes, especially someone who has a history in their family of some sort of heart problems. Obviously, he's going to bring in his own expert, which is very important to his case. And it's not necessarily to bring in or create a true sense of reasonable doubt. I think something less could even help him as well when, again, we talk about the death penalty.
Absolutely. Michael, I think I'm the last attorney living on earth who still thinks that Chad Daybell has a chance of proving reasonable doubt on the death of Tammy Daybell. We'll get to the kids in a minute, but I think I'm the last guy on earth who believes that, and I've been pilloried by my colleagues for it. But I don't know why. It just seems to me like the case is there's a lot of reasonable doubt that they can still cast when they bring up their defense. They're going to bring up their own expert. Hey, listen, if he had foul play, if he had something to cover up, why did he bury her? Why did he preserve her body? Why didn't he, cremate her? Right. So the fact that the forensic examiner initially said that this was a death of natural causes when her death initially was a high-profile death anyway. This guy, again, in his community was, by some people, thought of as a prophet, right? So the wife of the prophet dying, it would have gotten scrutiny by an examiner. So the fact that that the prosecution has to grapple with the initial blush of another investigator, and now this investigator's coming in and saying this looks like there was foul play. I feel like there's reasonable doubt in that regard. I still believe it until I see something different. I'm still going to believe that.
All right, Michael Jaafar standing on an island by himself. But fair enough, you make your point, and I appreciate that. All right, before we continue and take you back to court, I want to bring back in my guest to discuss national trial attorney Michael Jaafar as well. Michael, I'll start with you. We're going to hear about this text from Chad to Tammy, where he says, hey, I'm burning some limbs, and I'm burying a raccoon in the backyard. I think this text is super important, because we know that there were a series of texts going on when Alex is headed to the property. We see that he's headed to the property where Chad lives, and we know what he's doing when he's there. I still don't understand that choice, but they decided to bury the body there. But this text to Tammy, I think that solidifies the fact that Chad Daybell was aware, and he was willing to help them cover it up.
Oh, you talking about the text that we read before the block?
No, it's actually coming up now. He's going to tell them. He texts Tammy and says, "Hey,
I read that.
I burned some limbs, and I'm burying. I shot a raccoon. I'm buried him in the
raccoon.
backyard."
Yep. Fun times, yeah. Michael, I still don't see how any of this stuff ties him to the actual murder of these children, right? Again, I acknowledge I'm the last attorney on planet Earth who believes that, but just let me make it personal. I have 7 brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law. Luckily, they're all professionals, doctors, business owners, right? Let's just say one of them was a comedian who then murdered his niece and nephew and then brought them to my backyard when I was asleep. He's my brother-in-law in this scenario, so he would know my sleeping patterns. And so he came and he buried them, and then the police showed up and found them, right? I don't see how this is obviously very compelling evidence in a very sensational way. It's very inflammatory. You should have known, but this is a massive house. I live in a small house. He lives in a massive compound, right? So the text message of the raccoon, and he shot him, and I buried him, and I added him to my pet cemetery. Does that mean that he should be guilty of murder? It's such a stretch for me. But again, I acknowledge I'm standing on an island, as you said. But to me, I just don't see how he would text something like that if he buried children, or was about to bury children, or was capable of burying children. And I still don't see why, if he was a part of this whole entire thing.